On this week's show, a busy week for Georgia Southern Athletics. The annual Schenkel Invitational has 3 beautiful days of weather and some impressive scores. We'll get out there and see how things went. We'll also check in with the Eagle baseball team. And spring practice begins for the Eagle football team. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined by the sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald, Mike Anthony. And Mike, a busy show as we have plenty of sports to talk about. Let's begin on the diamond since it's behind us. And the Georgia Southern Eagles coming off a tough series against Troy. You thought maybe they get home, they have a chance against one of the middle-rung teams in the league. But Friday can help set the stage, and unfortunately they found a hot pitcher not only on their staff but on the other staff, and they lose a 1-run game. Then come back on Saturday and win, and then lose on Sunday. So right now, 4-2 in the league. Still a good spot right now for Georgia Southern.
A little bit of a missed opportunity there for the Eagles. You go on the road, you get a sweep against Appalachian State to begin Sun Belt play, a chance to really keep that momentum going. You had to figure that they felt good about keeping that momentum going with Evan Challenger on the mound Friday night. He gives a great effort. However, the Troy Trojans, they roll out some pitching of their own. A pitcher's duel, a 2-1 loss for the Eagles. They bounce back, as you said, to get a win, and then look like they were on their way to another series win, up 3-0 late into Sunday's game. And then last year's defense decided to show up. 5 errors, I believe 6 unearned runs out of the 8 scored by Troy. Troy rallies late, gets the series win, gets their second win of the weekend. Georgia Southern now 4-2 and right in contention, but with a lot of the tougher games, tougher road trips also still ahead on the schedule.
All right, well, let's get back and take a look at some of the games against Troy. After dropping Game 1 2-1, Georgia Southern and Troy in Game 2 Saturday evening on the mound, Chase Cohen, and he had it going on once again. Cohen with 6 shutout innings, allowing only 4 hits and striking out 2. He'd get plenty of offensive help, including here in the first. Logan Baldwin with the single to center. C.J. Brazel will score. And it's 1-0 Georgia Southern. To the third inning we go, and once again it's Baldwin doing the damage. The RBI single into right. Evan McDonald scores to make it 2-0. Still in the third, 2 on, and Will Hudgens takes this one up, and away to left. The 3-run shot made it 5-0. The Eagles not done yet. In the 7th inning, it's Logan Baldwin once again, the 2-run single. He'd go 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs as the Eagles take Game 2 7-0, the final. Georgia Southern wrapping up their 3-game series against Troy in the first. 2 on for Will Hudgens, and this single gets through into left. Both runners come in. Eagles with the lead. Brian Eichhorn pitching well early on here with the strikeout. Troy, though, with men in scoring position in the 5th. Stephen Whitaker drives this one into right. Throw home, and Troy's on the board. A little bit later, a ground ball to second. Booted. 2 runs come in, and we're tied at 3. In the 6th, now Chase Smart with the RBI single into right. Troy takes the lead, 4-3. Justin Friend then will find a gap in right. 5-3 Troy, and the Trojans score 5 in that inning and win by a final of 8-4. Well, next up for the Eagles are at Arkansas State. This is a different series as they'll be playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday series because Easter is Sunday and they're not playing on Sunday, so good luck to Georgia Southern. We'll let you know how they do next week. Well, one team that has had some success in the past at their own event maybe struggled a little bit, or maybe it was just that the other teams played so well, and that's that the Schenkel, where Georgia Southern won a couple of years ago. They've had bad weather the past couple of years. This year, the weather was perfect, and some of the scores were darn near perfect as well. You had Vanderbilt winning the team title. They had Will Gordon there in the hunt. Michael Johnson from Auburn ends up with the individual title in a playoff. Exciting, and once again, a great field and a good turnout for the Schenkel.
Yeah, Georgia Southern played 3 good rounds of golf, but unfortunately they needed 3 great rounds of golf. That's what happens when you get a talented field as they do year in and year out. A couple of years ago, they put it all together. They beat some top 10, top 20 teams, were able to win the Schenkel for the first time. This time, not quite as fortunate, but they're doing it with a very young lineup, 2 freshmen, a sophomore in the lineup. This is an Eagle team that's kind of had its ups and downs. They win their first tournament of the season back in the fall, second place right after that. They've kind of hit a little bit of a lull right now, but this is a time where hopefully as the weather heats up, so do those clubs. They've got a couple more tournaments before the Sun Belt Championships and hopefully a second consecutive conference championship.
That's right. Well, Henry Mabbitt leading the way. Let's get out and see how things went from this year's Schenkel. Day 2 of the Schenkel Invitational teeing off at Forest Heights Country Club on Saturday afternoon. The weather holding off, and the scores were red hot. Georgia State in the hunt thanks to shots like this. J.J. Gray with the second shot on the par 5 7th from 245. He puts it within a couple of feet. He'd tap in for eagle. More from Gray, trying to finish his round strong. He drains the 20-footer. He'd finish at 7 under 65 and is currently in second place. Georgia State tied for first in the team competition along with Auburn, who has a team shot 19 under par. Leading the way, Michael Johnson, first the birdie on 7, then on number 9. His third shot on the par 5 will check up about 5 feet away. He'll end up sinking that for a round of 65 and is currently in first place overall at 11 under par. Wake Forest, your day 1 leader. And here's the Deacons' Will Zalatoris putting from off the green for eagle about 22 feet. He sinks it. Wake just 1 shot behind the leaders. The Vanderbilt Commodores right in the thick of things, led by Matthias Schaub here on 18. His third shot leaves him 4 feet for birdie. Schwab currently tied for 7th, while Vandy just 1 stroke out at first. Back to 7 we go, and the second shot from UAB's Will Cannon. Cannon leaves this one about 15 feet away for eagle. He'll then step up and drain the putt. A pair of 68s leaves him tied for 5th at 8 under par. Day 1's individual leader, Davis Womble, unable to match his 64, but sand shots like this one, which would lead to a birdie, have him just 1 shot back individually at 10 under par. Back to number 9 we go, and an impressive hole for NC State's David Cook. Check this one out. That came after a drop, so he has that left for a birdie, and it goes down as a 4 on the scorecard. Nice birdie right there. The turnaround of the day came from Kentucky's Steven Stallings, who was 3 over par on the opening day and then blistered the course for a 29 on the front 9. Ended up shooting a 65. And finally, as for the host team, Georgia Southern, paced by Henry Mabbitt, the birdie on 18. He's 5 under and tied for 14th. Final round of the annual Schenkel Invitational Sunday. A beautiful day for golf and plenty of great shots, like the approach here on the par 5 9th hole by North Carolina's Carter Jenkins, which would set up his birdie. And a tap in at that, he'd finish tied for 25th. The Vanderbilt Commodores pulling away from the pack. Theo Humphrey with the birdie on number 9. He'd shoot a 67 Sunday and finish 6th overall, staying on number 9. And check out the second shot by Wake Forest's Will Zalatoris. He puts this within about 4 feet for eagle and then calmly sinks the putt for a 3, helping the Demon Deacons to a second-place finish. Everybody chasing the Vanderbilt Commodores and Will Gordon, who came into the 18th hole needing an eagle putt to set a new tournament 18-hole record. He'll miss this one by just inches, but ties the record with a 9 under 63 as he taps this one in. Teammate Theo Humphrey once again helping to secure the team title moments later. From the fringe, he'll drain the 23-foot birdie putt. Vandy shooting 41 under as a team. The individual title, the only thing in question. Gordon in at 13 under. Auburn's Michael Johnson needs this eagle for the outright win. He'd then need the birdie to force a playoff. It falls in and we go to sudden death. Both players par number 1. So to number 9 we go. The good crowd looking on. Gordon's third shot on the par 5 will keep on rolling on down and fall eventually off the green. He'd still be away and having to chip to get it close. But as he steps up, his chip shot will sail past the hole. That opens the door for Johnson, who will chip this one. And it checks up about 5 feet away, needing only to 2-putt for the victory. Johnson sinks the birdie and captures the individual low medalist title.
Good fields, great tournament. Vandy smoked everyone. They played really well, and our team's really good too. So I feel honored to be on top.
It was a great day for us, I tell you. I thought, Will really set the pace for our team today. He built momentum yesterday afternoon. Everybody looks at his scorecards and sees 73, but I see a guy that was 4 over par through 10 holes yesterday and played his last 37 holes at 13 under par. That says a lot about being able to overcome adversity.
But overall, we started 3 sophomores and a freshman this week. Everyone contributed. Everybody played consistently well. The results don't reflect it, but our team's best golf is right around the corner. We played well this week. We just didn't take advantage of a few holes, but we're looking forward to getting on the road next week and proving that we're just a little bit away from being right where we want to be.
Well, Mike, as you mentioned, the defending champion Georgia Southern Eagles getting ready, and I guess they changed the format this year. Once again, it's down in Florida. They'll have the Sun Belt Tournament. It's just about a month away, so hopefully the Eagles can get some momentum going into that. Well, we not only have golf and baseball, but we stay outside for football as well. Yes, spring practice has begun. We won't unfortunately be able to report too much on what we see out there, but we can report that they're going to get things underway coming up this week, and Tyson Summers out on the field for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how things go out there with the coaching staff and new things that they'll be throwing out there.
Going to be interesting to see just how things change. I know that in a couple of press conferences since his hiring, Coach Summers has talked about how a lot of things will remain the same, a lot of philosophies will remain the same. That said, not only a new coach, but a first-time head coach in Tyson Summers, going to be eager to put his own footprint on this program. So I'm sure that we'll see some things that you aren't quite as used to. I know some positions maybe that we aren't quite as used to. Some tight ends in that signing class might get some more playing time. But as far as we know, from Tyson Summers' mouth himself, still a gun option team. I'm sure that the leading rushing team 2 years running now in the nation will be right back to work on the ground, and we've got 3-4 weeks now to kind of see what this team will look like in 2016.
Matt Breida not going to be out there this spring. Hopefully he'll be on the mend and be back before you know it. Some other rules going on out there. If you plan on going out, make sure you bring your wallet. They're going to be checking IDs if you want to go out there, and there'll be designated areas. All that's a little bit different. The media-wise, unfortunately, we won't be able to report on what we see out there, so it's going to be kind of tough for us to be able to pass on to you what's going on out there. So if you get a chance, I guess, go out there and bring your ID and see what's happening. It's going to be interesting to see, to me, that one of the big things is Willie Fritz kind of implemented in the spring and in the preseason, not really tackling to the ground. It seemed to pay off because they were pretty healthy while Willie Fritz was here. Jeff Monken's philosophy was a little bit different. It's going to be, what do you think it's going to be this time around? Because I would say Summers, his personality is a little more like Monken as opposed to Fritz.
Summers definitely seems to have a little bit of fire to him. Not that there wasn't with Willie Fritz. He might have been a little more happy-go-lucky in the interviews, but he was plenty fiery out on the practice field and on the sidelines. I would think maybe just the fact that Summers has such a background with hard-nosed defense. I know that some things are going to change with the alignments, maybe some positions changing on the defensive front for the Eagles, which they should have a lot of talent returning in that front seven, but if you're going to change things up, you've got to see how they perform at game speed. A lot of that will probably mean some more hitting, some more taking people to the ground. Kind of tough to see how things are going with new guys in new spots if you don't see what the height of their abilities are there.
Well, Mike, we had a chance to talk with head coach Tyson Summers about the spring practices.
I've been to a couple of spring practices here at Georgia Southern, and I must say this, as a first practice, it's probably the best one because, it's the intensity, the music playing, you get amped up. We need that enthusiasm out there to get us going.
I felt great, new coaching staff, new team, everybody just decided to get back out there, fly around, it's an exciting feeling. Football back in Statesboro.
Fast. Honestly, fast. Just came in blazing, honestly. It's really different. It's high tempo. He keeps you going, keeps you moving. You never really sit down. You never really stop.
I think, our kids did a nice job of trying to go through the pace of practice the way we wanted them to. Attention to detail has obviously got to be better. A lot of anxiety through the first day, newness, new offense, new defense, new coaches, and everybody trying to get a feel for what the first day looks like. I think we'll come out and have a little bit better idea of what we're up against, when we come out here on Saturday and get through day 2, and then looking forward to getting to Tuesday where we can put some pads on and actually do some football.
And that'll wrap things up. For Mike Anthony, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.